Welcome to the No Sitting on the Sideline Dad podcast, a podcast about a journey of discovery and conversations about not sitting on the sideline of life. Let's get involved. Here's host Joe Foley.
Welcome back to the No Sitting on the Sideline Dad podcast. We're going to dive into a topic that will make you think about all the junk around your house. You know, we all have a closet or a hallway of boxes, other things. Have you ever looked at the old items collecting dust in your garage? You wondered, I didn't realize I had that. Because it's funny. You really think about that all sometimes too, is that you go through the boxes going, I never knew I had that. Well, my guest said yes, actually might be worth something. Joining me today is Aaron LaPedis, author of How to Become a Garage Sale Millionaire. He's here to show us how you can turn everyday clutter into cash, from the thrill of uncovering hidden treasure to practical details on the negotiation deals. Especially during when you go to those garage sales and stuff. Aaron has some incredible stories and tips on how to make the most out of garage sales and thrift stores and online marketplaces. Some of this all intimidates me, so I'm not thinking about it, but he really shares some really great information. When you're looking to make this a side hustle or earn some extra cash from unused stuff, this episode's for you. Stick around. You might get ready to start a treasure hunting in your own backyard by the end of this. Might find the hidden treasure in your house. Welcome to the podcast, Aaron.
Thank you for having me on, Joe. I'm really excited.
Well, it's one of the things interesting, and I'm reading and doing my own research on that stuff like that, is you like comic books, and I think comic books are really cool. But what was your favorite comic book character growing up?
I like different ones, but Sergeant Rock, I was fascinated with people actually going to war to protect our country early on. I loved Sergeant Rock, and then I also loved Iron Man. So those were my two good, and Ghost Rider.
I've always been a Batman fan. I just like Batman because Iron Man and Batman kind of the same. So I've always been a Batman fan, and ever since I watched with Adam West when he played Batman back when I was growing up.
I loved watching the old Batman. You're right. I did love that.
Well, I always like the share where he goes, pow, ping, pow. And then
yeah.
It was always a fun time watching that. I was interested.
Yeah.
How being a garage sales, it can be kind of intimidating. How did you get into it?
When I was 9, my parents wanted me to, I wanted more toys, and they said, you got enough toys. And I kept on squawking about it and complaining. They go, okay, this is what we're going to do. You're going to gather all the toys you don't use, all of the clothes you don't like. We're going to find some stuff, put it out on our front lawn, call it a garage sale, invite our friends and neighbors. And whatever money we make, you can use it to buy new toys. And I love that. And we started making money. And we did it on a Saturday. We started making money. My dad wanted nothing to do with it, wasting his Saturday doing this. And my mom was tired, and I was 9.
Mm-hmm. And
so I got into it real quick. And my dad, when he was leaving, he said, son, you got this. And I go, Dad, how do I run this garage sale? He goes, oh, don't worry. If somebody ask them what they want, then say, what are you willing to pay for it? Ask for a few more dollars, and then sell it to them. And so I loved it. They came back 3 or 4 hours later. My mom and dad came on out of the house. I showed them how much money I made. My dad was so impressed. My mom walked back into the house. Within seconds of being in the house, you hear this guttural scream and yelled, Ed, get in here. So me and my dad walked on in there, and we're in the living room, and she is like crying and screaming, saying we got robbed because there was no furniture in there. And my dad goes, oh my God, how could this happen? Because we got robbed. I go, no, Dad, we didn't get robbed. I sold it. You told me, ask them what they want, work out a deal, charge them a little more, and then sell it. And I sold literally 3/4 of the living room furniture. Garage sale cost them about $2,000.
What kind of punishment was dealt after that one?
My dad got punished. I didn't do anything wrong. I just listened to what my father told me. And my dad, oh my God, he was in hot water for a little while. And he had to buy my mom new furniture.
That's so funny. When is a moment, though, you realize, garage sailing and stuff can, from a hobby into a real income opportunity?
I had a garage sale with my parents every year, and they let me have another one. They obviously put down some ground rules. And when I was 13, I needed to make more money. And so I started buying and selling coins, going to a lot of other garage sales, buying baseball cards and different things. And I was flipping everything. And I was buying a lot of coins. And my dad had to drive me to basically Burger King parking lots because nobody wanted to do it at their own house. And so I had, $5,000 on me when I was 13 back in the,
wow,
Jesus, that was in the 70s. And the guy was looking at my dad, and my dad said, "Don't look at me. He's the one paying you for the coins. I have no idea what he's looking for." I got really good, and I kept on buying and selling. And my claim to fame basically was I was a millionaire in my early 20s, and from just doing this.
That's very interesting, too, because that's before all the stuff we have now, the technology with cell phones and Craigslist and marketplaces and all the stuff online.
Yeah, back then was hard. I had to hustle.
Mm-hmm.
And now, like you said, you have Facebook Marketplace, you have eBay, you have Craigslist, you have online auctions, you have all these apps to tell you what things are worth. I had none of that. And I was still able to hustle enough to be worth $1 million. And so it taught me a lot about I had to have faith in myself and pull it off, because the people now, it should be easy for anybody to do this, to, buy and sell items, sell it on eBay, sell it on Marketplace, buy it on Craigslist, find out where people are missing the boat and buy it up and repackage it and sell it.
Well, one thing I find interesting, especially on a Saturday morning driving around and stuff, and you looking at people's yards, they have in yard garage sales and stuff like that, it can be a little intimidating.
It can be a little intimidating, but like I discussed in How to Become a Garage Sale Millionaire, Joe, is you go to a lot of garage sales and you're going to start to get comfortable, and you don't have to buy at every garage sale. You're there testing the water, learning, finding important apps that I talk about to have on your phone to see what things are worth, having barcode readers to see what those books are worth or what those packaged toys are worth. It is a process, but after a couple garage sales, you're going to start to realize, people just want to get rid of stuff, and that is an opportunity you're going to make money from. And you take it slow, exactly what you have, and you negotiate a better price. You start up an eBay site, and the book walks you through all that and makes it easy for you. And you're not going to be a millionaire overnight, but are you going to start making $50, $100 an hour for your time and then start to make real money? Absolutely. This is something that will turn into a fun hobby, to a side hustle, to probably your full-time gig, because you're going to realize it's on your own terms that you're making money. You can do it at the time you want to do it. And a lot of it you can do from your home.
That's interesting, too, and stuff like that. And I obviously online, you see people doing like going to thrift stores and stuff, too.
Yeah, Joe, you can't miss out on thrift stores because they're restocking every day. And a lot of them don't know what they have. And if you're prepared to look at anything, and Joe, I don't know if you're married or you have a girlfriend or what you have, but they love nice things. And the big thing is Louis Vuitton and red bottom shoes, and people sell all kinds of stuff at garage sales. And if you're prepared to buy anything and make money, you're going to do fine. But you need prepared. Going to be gold or antique vintage Civil War weapons. You have to be prepared. If it's a Samsonite suitcase, brand new, you got to be prepared. You get that for $5, that thing's worth $50. You got to be prepared to sell whatever it takes to make a good profit. And that's what I got real about. I close myself off if it's not a collectible.
One thing interesting about, I think about what I was talking, what was one thing that you purchased, you saw that you got a great deal on? It was like, you were really surprised because it may be a fun time, like a treasure hunt.
You know, a lot of things I buy, you don't buy anything. If I need to make real money. If
Mhm.
I buy it for $10, it needs to be worth $75 to $100. Because I do not have time to wait. And I don't care if I can do that 5 times, but my time is money. And that's what I teach in the book, that if you buy something, you have to make sure your hourly rate is good. And if you're buying something for a nickel and you sell it for $10, it may sound like you're making a huge profit, but at the end of the day, you're making a couple dollars an hour because you have to stuff that and you have to put a name tag on it and walk to the PS store and ship it. I don't have time for that. That's what this book is good for. This book is good for making $100, $200, $500 in a weekend easily. And the things I like to look at, and what you asked about, I found a 10 toys that they said they wouldn't take less than $20 for. I wasn't really experienced in 10 toys. And, but I looked at the markings and I looked to me like it's the real deal, but for $20, I took a risk. 4 months later, I sold it for $11 on eBay.
Oh.
And it was a 1930s toy that because I heard the story. He told me the story. He brought it back from when he was in World War II from Germany. And it was one of these monkeys on a motorcycle. I remember it like yesterday, and I had no idea, but I gave him exactly what he wanted. And I didn't have a chance to look it up because I bought lots of other things. And then I sold it, and I go, wow, it was because sometimes you have to go with your gut and willing to roll the dice. And after doing as many garage sales as I've done and looking at as many collectibles, you start to get good at your craft. And that's what it is. It's a craft. And you have to put hours into it. And the more hours you put in, the better you get. And that's why I feel comfortable by shooting from my hip on an item that maybe I'm not an expert.
What is like a typical, like you're going to go like garage sailing on this Saturday, for example. What are some tips and something you would start out to look for? And what would be kind of like a little bit, maybe some tips and a method to try?
I'm going to walk you through it. I want Joe to make some money this Saturday.
Okay.
How about that, Joe? All right, Joe, you're going to get up early. You are going to get out there at 7 a.m. to look at all the signs. You're going to look at Craigslist and Nextdoor to find where your local garage sales are. And you're going to do that at 6:30 or 7 in the morning. Why? Because you want to be the first person at those garage sales. So that's very important. And Joe, you're not going to mess around with Venmo, even though that's the second best thing to have access to. You're going to have real cash in your pocket. You're going to have 1, 5, 10, 20, and you're going to have at least $300, up to $300, whatever you can afford. But you're going to make it very, very simple. And then you're going to go shopping. You're going to be the first one at all these garage sales, and you're going to look at them very quickly and thoughtfully. And then if you don't see something, because you're going to have the eBay app on your phone, and you're going to look at stuff that may have value, first edition book, bamboo fly rod, old toys in the packaging, Star Wars, anything like that. Pokemon cards in great condition, old baseball cards from the 50s, 60s, 70s. You're going to look at all that. And if they don't have something that's exciting you, you're going to move on to the next garage sale. And you're going to get, 10, 15 garage sales at 9 o'clock at the very latest. And then after you do that, you're going to have lunch. At the end of the day, on the garage sales you saw that were interesting, you're going to ask them before you leave, when did your garage sale end? They're going to tell you, 3, 4 o'clock. If you saw some stuff that you think there's a chance it may not sell, or they had some stuff that the price was right, you'd buy, you're going to go back to them and offer them pennies on the dollar. And that's also when to buy. at the very starting of the garage sale and at the ending of the garage sale. That's where you're going to make the money. You're then going to make sure you have an eBay site ready. You're going to start to take pictures and load it up and start your eBay store and start making real money right away.
You mentioned about the eBay app. What is that about? Because I have a curious idea, but I was kind of curious what that is all about.
eBay app is just basically, it's free. You download it. It means you can buy and sell. You open up a store and you can also buy and sell. You put in your credit card, all your information, and that gives you a way to buy on eBay. If you want to sell, you open up a store, and that is the best way. A store does cost anywhere from 12 to about 19%, depending on what it is, including the fees of making the transaction happen. But that's the cost of doing business. And that's the best way to sell anything these days, unless the item's worth thousands of dollars. And then I would go to one of the more famous auctions like Heritage, Sotheby's, or Christie's.
Well, it's interesting. I was thinking about also too is I've done in the past myself, take a picture of something to see if it's worth anything. What is your experience with that? I was kind of curious.
On eBay, you can easily find there's a part of eBay that puts completed auctions. And all this is mapped out in my book, How to Become the Garage Sale Millionaire. But basically, there is an area that pretty much show everything that you buy these days. There is something either identical to it or close to it on eBay. Right now, you're behind me. You're looking at a George Washington autograph right above my head.
Oh.
That is a document signed by George Washington. That exact document obviously is not on eBay, but I can look for other documents signed by George Washington and find out a good going price for what mine is worth. I look at condition, I look at size, I look at how clear the signature is. That'll give me an idea, and in the completed column of these items, and that'll tell me what that item is worth. Now, if it was a Star Wars toy in the packaging, guaranteed that same Star Wars toy is on eBay, either being sold now or in the completed auction. So I can have an idea of what somebody's trying to sell it for and an idea of what it's sold for. And that will help me purchase items in the future and know how I should price.
Oh, it's interesting. Just use it kind of a reference too, in the way.
Absolutely. And you need it. You don't want to shoot from your hip until you feel really good about your stuff. Because or else you're going to get eaten up alive, you use up your bankroll, and you'll get burned out and have no fun if you can't start making money right away.
Well, another way too is maybe some people could start like decluttering around the house, because we all have junk we want to get rid of. What are some tips and ideas about that?
So that is, a lot of times you can't get every family member on board to declutter. Now, Joe, we're going to tell your family that everybody's going to partake in the decluttering, but they're going to make money doing it, because we're going to declutter every part of the house, including the garage that your car probably hasn't gotten into since the Obama administration. And we're going to clean out the basement, and we're going to put everything, on your front line and make money. And that way you can sell those items that you have, 15 extra screwdrivers or 12 staplers or, garden furniture that you don't use anymore or you want to upgrade. This is your time to put as much stuff on your front lawn, sell it. Whatever doesn't sell, you donate it to some charity that's a 501c3, and you write it off on your taxes. So a win-win. You make the money, you write it off, you do something good. Even if you don't want it back and you don't want to give it to, you give it to your local church or your school or something like that. You do something good with the stuff that doesn't sell, and now you can get new stuff or have room to enjoy your house and your garage.
What was some interesting story about maybe you heard about, or somebody, got in touch with you saying, listen, thanks for your advice, and I didn't realize it was worth more than I thought it was, and they sold it for a price?
What happens when I encourage people to declutter, what usually happens is they go to a part of their house that they have stuff stored for a family member. And for whatever that that family member is not around anymore, or they don't want it, like it's a kid's stuff, and they said get rid of it. And then they take the time to find out it's old baseball cards, it's old comics from the 60s. And they find that it's worth tens of thousands of dollars, like complete Hot Wheel set that I just actually heard about this one last week. It had every single Hot Wheel that ever came out from the start in the packaging. And they found it in their grandmother's house, and it was one of the many kids that collected it, and they don't know who, and then they sold it. It raised about over $100,000.
That's always interesting. You always find coffee mug or something like baseball. I know for myself, I used to collect baseball cards, and I remember I had Roger Clemens rookie, and I accidentally had to clean my bedroom, and it got thrown in a trash bag. To this day, I regret it. I wish I still had the Roger Clemens rookie.
Oh, yeah, I bet you do. I bet you do.
There's always one of those things. Oh man, I wish I had it still. But one thing that's interesting too, navigating marketplaces. I know doing some in the book and stuff, and I know there's different places besides eBay and Craigslist. What are some other places and other marketplaces?
Facebook Marketplace is very valuable. I recommend Facebook Marketplace and Nextdoor, which has its own marketplace. Great to buy, not really good to sell unless it's big furniture.
Mm-hmm.
What people are always trying to scam you on that, and that's the big thing that you need to worry about is being scammed. You need to be taking cash when people are buying stuff, but people have items that are up there for days, months, and they're willing to take anything that people offer them. And that's why you wait how long they have it, and you go and they're asking, $300, you're offering them 50, 75 because they're not going to move it. What they don't know, Facebook Marketplace and Nextdoor are not the best places, not the best marketplaces. They're the best to get a great deal. Best to say you have your parents' house and any money is better than no money. Sure. Use Facebook Marketplace. You will get money, but people are basically giving you lowball offers on everything because they know they can. And so I don't think highly of making big money to sell on them, but definitely to buy.
Have you had any negative feedback from, like, say somebody's selling it for 100 and you offered them 25? Do you have any negative feedback from that?
No, on Facebook Marketplace, most of the time I will tell you, be very careful on offering somebody a lowball price. But on Facebook Marketplace and Nextdoor, I do not have a problem with that because there's a lot of times people need to move those items. And that would not be considered an insult. If you go to a garage sale first thing in the morning and they want $50 for something and you offer them 10, you're going to mentally shut them down. And now you can't get that deal. Now, if you did that at the end of the day and they're boxing stuff up, do it every day of the week. But some things you just don't offer nothing when they have the potential of selling it for almost what they asked for.
But it's also too, and I was interested in is the question is, say I bought something Saturday, is there sometimes a long turnover rate too? Like you turn it over, it's not as quick?
Yeah. Some people like to buy stuff out of season.
Mm-hmm.
So if you bought something, in the summer, like somebody selling their skis and ski boots in April, and they're a good deal, and well, you're going to have to, they're a good deal because you're going into the summer. But you have to see, if you're going to use them next year, great. It's going to be a great deal for you. But what happens when they come out with the brand new stuff? So you always have to see the timing of it, if it's still valuable, because people will sell off season, and now it's your problem whether you want to store it for the next season.
It's always interesting too. And one thing I was also scams. I know you mentioned Facebook Marketplace and stuff like that, and it always gets me a little bit nervous sometimes because I was going to buy a monitor for my son recently, and it's like, I'm not sure. Sometimes because people get a little pushy.
That first, if you're selling anything, Joe, I always recommend you have two people, one other person with you, especially if you're a female, never sell anything by themselves, never sell anything at night. Also, you don't want to pay anything in advance, like paying PayPal, and not be holding that item, because that's a great scam where they want you to say, send us a deposit. I'm in a meeting all day and these things are going fast. Send me a deposit. Tomorrow you can come pick it up. I'll send you the address. And then they give you this PayPal account that has a whole bunch of letters and numbers, and it's going to somewhere in India or Nigeria or wherever. Do not do that. Never pay for anything in advance. You may feel like it's the best deal. You may feel like it's your buddy who's on Facebook that's selling stuff. And what happened is his Facebook got cloned, and they put all these items on there. And then Billy doesn't know his Facebook got cloned, and you're buying from somebody you think is Billy, but it's not. It's Jorge from Mexico City. So, and then they want you to pay in advance, a deposit. And Billy knows nothing about this because his Facebook got cloned, and they're selling the item in his Facebook page, not even on the marketplace. So do not pay for anything that you cannot hold, look at, examine, ever, ever, never.
What kind of scams have you come across yourself personally?
The clone Facebook was one that I almost got taken by. I couldn't believe I knew the woman. I knew she had family members and she had a death in the family. I didn't know that, but she had all these things listed in the body of her Facebook. And I saw the prices and I realized they're pretty good. Not like I would steal it, but they're pretty good. And then the next thing I know, the guy goes, "Okay, we have a deal." And he was very pushy. And then he goes, if you're ready, this is where I need you to send it to my friend, because for whatever reason, I can't get money. I need to deposit it right with my accountant because I have to share it with siblings. And red flags everywhere. And then they sent me a PayPal link, which was a whole bunch of letters and numbers. And luckily I realized it quick and I didn't miss out. The other big scam, Joe, is somebody will see something that you have on Facebook Marketplace or on Craigslist, and they'll reach out to you and say, "Oh, it's $500. I think your price is fair. I'm going to send my moving company to pick it up. I'm going to overnight you a certified check for $750 just for the inconvenience. What I need you to do is pay $500 goes to you, $200 goes to my moving company, and you need to pay them in cash. And I'm going to let you keep the other $50 as an inconvenience fee." So what happens is that certified check does not get cleared, doesn't clear your bank for a few days. You find out it is a fake. You're out the item. You're out now $250 because you gave it to the moving company. So that is one that's done every day of the week because it goes to our greed. So once again, you don't take business checks, personal checks, certified checks, anything that has the word check in it, because you're going to be scammed.
Definitely.
Once again,
good.
Yeah, this is what I talk about in how to become the Garage Sale Millionaire, because, it's great when you're making money, but you got to know how to keep your money. And that's just as important.
One thing too, is anything else in the book that you'd like to share? Because I think this book could be very helpful to people also want to make some income and actually have some fun too. Because this could be a good time. Like I could do this with my son on this coming Saturday.
Definitely. Because it teaches you how to teach your kids, because in one of the chapters about how putting on the world's greatest garage sale, I talk about having your kids have a lemonade stand in front of your garage sale and teach them about money. And then when people come, they're drinking lemonade and you may be selling them cookies, and they're staying longer. The longer somebody stays at the garage sale, the more money they're making, and the more money your kids are making, and they're learning about money. So you'll learn about that in one of the chapters. You'll learn about Facebook Marketplace, how to buy and sell there. You'll learn about what not to buy, what to buy. And one of the most important things, Joe, so many people do not know how to negotiate. And I have a whole chapter on negotiating between art, coins, baseball cards, real estate. I've probably done $500 million in all of that negotiating. So when it comes to negotiating, I'm pretty darn good. And so that's why I wrote that chapter.
What is maybe a few tips on negotiating, something you can share?
Basically, I always like to say the first person that talks loses. And so if you go up to somebody and say, what's the best you can do on this piece of art? You stop talking. You've already asked. And they're going to say, well, what would you pay? I don't even know if I want it. I don't know if I want it. I just asking you. So you do not say a price.
Mm-hmm.
You leave it back to them. And you don't want to split it. Oh, I'll do it for $150. No, because they may say they may come out at $50. And then you shrug your shoulder and you keep on listening and you're still not saying anything. Once again, if you talk, you miss out. And so the person's going to keep on talking. They're going to see your facial expression. You're going hem and haw. They're at 50. Next thing you know, you're getting it for $35 and you haven't said a word. And now you say, I'll give you 25. And so you usually never need to talk money. You let them talk money first. So that's one of the biggest tips in negotiation. If you drive a nice car, you have that car parked way down the block. You wear nice clothes. You're not wearing nice clothes when you're garage selling or going to secondhand stores. Definitely, as a person in sales, I look at your shoes and I look at your watch. If I see you were wearing a Rolex and nice shoes, you could afford everything I got, and I'm not giving you a deal. I already read the and I have a full house, and you have a 2 pair. So you want to make sure you look like you need help out on this sale. And then the last thing, I would not ever show that I'm eager. If you start holding that item and looking at it and you're holding it while you're walking around the garage sale, that person already knows that you're going to not leave without it. So those are the tips that I can give you that always work for me.
That's interesting too. I forgot to ask you about the TV show. You had your own PBS show for a while on this kind of topic.
I was on national PBS called Collective, and my last show was called the Garage Sale Millionaire. And I had a show. One of my garage sales was filmed it live to tape, and so all my other shows were to teach people how to buy and sell certain collectibles. And the last show was putting on the world's great garage sale. So you can see that on my YouTube channel, and it's fun to watch it. So definitely you can go to my YouTube channel or my Facebook page to see all those great videos of me.
What was that experience like for you though, doing on all those shows and stuff like that? What was the experience like?
I loved it. I had all these experts on the show and I got to teach. And I love teaching people something different. How can they make money? How can they protect themselves? How can they take care of that item? Because a lot of times people don't know what's valuable in their home, and then they end up giving it away, or it gets thrown away, or ends up in Goodwill. That's why I love doing the show, because I did 50 shows for national PBS, and anywhere from minerals to books to collectibles to old autographs, you name it, I did a show on it, down to the Barrett Jackson car auction.
Oh, that's pretty interesting. What does any person ever stand out in your mind, a memory of all the experiences you had?
I had some famous people on my show. I had Mike Peters, who was the creator of Mother Goose and Grimm, who was in 800 newspapers. I had him on my show. I had Barrett from Barrett Jackson when I interviewed at the Barrett Jackson show. I had him on my show. There was some notable people. I had some people that promoted very evil collectibles that was crazy, that made me think about the level of depravity that go on in our world about people collect. The show was on murder memorabilia,
Mm-hmm.
and it was shocking that people collected that. So I was caught off guard with what people collect. They collect almost everything. So it was a turning point in understanding collectibles, because basically told me everything at one time could be a collectible.
That's interesting too, because I've seen some of those shows and stuff where they have like going to the oddity shops and stuff like that, and there's some really interesting objects in there.
Definitely.
You also wrote a children's book series too.
Yes, it's about my son, a boy named Penguin. And my son is on the spectrum of autism. He is very high functioning, very smart. You can't actually even tell, because, we had him working on it ever since he was 3 years old. And he's this amazing, amazing boy. But I wanted to talk about his journey and how he used autism as a superpower. And so A Boy Named Penguin is about this boy who uses autism as a superpower, his gift. And it could be any disability, whether you could see it or not. So I wanted other kids, if there's something going on with them, they were dyslexic, Down syndrome, they were missing a limb, whatever, they knew that they could be a superhero too in their mind and change their life for the good. And so I wrote 4 books, and one was about acceptance, one was about bullying, and the last one was about depression, because unfortunately, a lot of our children are dying from suicide. And it was the book that had the most impact on me, because the hero was always my son, but the person that we used that was depressed was a boy that actually in real life committed suicide. And because of that, 4 other kids from his school committed suicide. And I wrote the book in his honor, because I believe these are children's books. We need to get to our kids early in life and make sure they're happy, and understand if they're not happy, what we need to do about it. And the book calls out signs, and you get to talk, whether it's a teacher or parent, it's about talking to your kids and asking the right questions. And that's why I felt this book was important to write, and called A Boy Named Penguin.
What was the kind of any feedback from it?
They all won awards. That one won 2 awards.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, the tagline is Finding Happy. And it was powerful. It was so powerful that I'm not going to write any more children's books, because when I'm asked to read it, it scares the heck out of me, because I know at times my son is not always happy. And I think more people don't realize that their kids are going through a lot with the access to the internet and all these apps, and people able to get to your kids and, say bad things, or, they're on these cell phones all night long looking at different content. It's a tough world to be a kid. And I'm glad I wrote the book, but it was my last book in the series.
Sounds very powerful. And as a parent myself, I think about that stuff with the age of internet and stuff like that, and the extreme pressure the kids are under nowadays.
Huge pressure. And I always tell parents, talk to your kids. Make sure you hug them every day. Make sure they know you love them. Make sure that you're asking them questions when you don't see things are right, because it's just you can lose them in a minute. So
yeah, it's true. It's very powerful. Well, wrapping up, I was thinking final thoughts. Anything you want to leave with, something like parting advice on some of the stuff we talked about tonight?
Absolutely, Joe. In my book, How to Become the Garage Sale Millionaire, it is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It is just using things that you have in your house to sell them, to start your bankroll, to learn how to double and triple your bankroll over time by finding more things to buy, what not to buy, if you need to generate more money, how to do that by going to Facebook Marketplace and finding things. What's good to sell on eBay? What's not good to sell on eBay? Where can I always find a good deal? How do I have the internet work for me? How can I use AI? It's a lot of different things out there. And I give you tips in the book called the Garage Sale Millionaire Tips, the little boxes that just call out what you need to always remember all through the book to make it very easy to read. At the end of the book, I give you, like 30 pages of glossary terms that are going to be used a lot that I want you to know about. The book is a quick read. It's like 300 pages. It's very easy to read, very simple to understand. Whether this is going to be a hobby, a side hustle, or your full-time gig, how to become the garage sale millionaire, it should be in everybody's bookcase. They should be opening it up and they should be making money off of it.
Where they can connect you to find out more about your book and all the information you have?
They can go to Amazon.com. They can go to my website, thegaragesaleMillionaire.com. They can buy it at either one of those places. Also, if they want to see what I'm buying and selling, they can go to my eBay site, The Garage Sale Millionaire. If they want to contact me, they can go to The Garage Sale Millionaire on Facebook. And then they can also get a hold of me on my website, The Garage Sale Millionaire.
Aaron, thank you much for being on the podcast. I really do appreciate it. Also, all links will be in the show notes for this episode. Thank you much for your time, and I really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe.
Wrapping up, I want to thank Aaron for being on the podcast. This interview gave me a new appreciated potential treasure troves in my house, in my garage, or in my closet. Turning everyday items into serious cash sounds more doable now, thanks to Aaron's strategy and tips. Anyone interested in learning more, you should check out Aaron's book, How to Become a Garage Sale Millionaire. It's packed with tips, tricks, and strategies to help you start making money with your items you never thought you could. You might find something valuable, because I think I might find something in my closet right now. But I'll have all links of Aaron's websites, his eBay store, and social media in the show notes. To make sure you check out those, if you find this episode helpful, please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and review. The No Sitting on the Sideline Dad, I can't even say my website. No Sitting on the Sideline Dad. Wherever you listen to podcasts, your support helps get the podcast to more people, and I really appreciate it. All right, that is it for today. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, remember, the best way to make room for new opportunities to clear out the old. Take care. Happy hunting with the treasure in your house. God bless. Take care. See you.